Hello everybody, welcome to Farscape Rewatch episode 18. I am Can't Wear Hats and joining me as always is Red Nightmare.
Are you who you say you are, Hats?
Yes, this time. I swear, okay? Listen, last week was just
I think it was a bit before that.
Oh yes, sorry. I lost track of time. I didn't forget what happened because I was being impersonated by someone else. Shh. Everything's fine.
Yeah, we're gonna continue on that theme this week, I think.
Yeah, a little bit, because this is episode 18, and the episode is called A Bug's Life.
Yeah.
Which we were theorizing last week was like, maybe it's to do with insects and things.
It's the shrink episode. It wasn't the shrink episode.
No. I don't know that there is a shrink episode, but maybe we'll find out.
It could be.
Keep an eye out for it.
It wasn't this one.
But we will talk about what this episode was. And so we start off with Dargo being locked up in chains again.
Yeah, and he's not liking that. Never again, he said.
Very unhappy with that. And Zan is actually locking him up in chains in Moya. And the reason for that is that there's a peacekeeper marauder heading towards them, which is a bit weird out in the uncharted territories, middle of nowhere.
It's not Craces, we find out.
Yeah, which is relevant.
It's weirder.
Yeah, it's even stranger because Crace is, as far as they know, the only peacekeeper commander out here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but because it's not from Crace's command carrier, Crichton had the idea to, rather than run away or whatever, he's going to bring them on board or let them come aboard and pretend that they are also a peacekeeper ship.
Okay, so is that just me, or does that sound like a terrible idea?
Oh no, it's a terrible idea.
Okay,
like it's straight up a bad idea.
Yeah, but for some reason everybody goes along with it.
So they come on board. There's actually a sequence of the Marauder coming into Moya. There's like a CG shot of it coming in. It's leaking fuel, cesium fuel, they say. So there's like a big blue trail behind it. Mm-hmm. And then it comes in, and we see a shot from inside where the peacekeepers are all sitting around like a circular hole looking down as it goes across the cargo bay. Then they would sort of drop out from there like guns ready and like, hua! Because they open the hanging doors and like, identify yourself.
Yeah, and Aaron's there with a big gun. And
dressed in proper peacekeeper gear with like a jacket and stuff which has a red, effectively like a red sash down one side. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "No, you identify yourself." And they're like, "No, you.
I ask you first."
Well, she identifies herself as a peacekeeper.
Lieutenant Aronson.
No. Lieutenant Aronson.
Sorry.
Lieutenant.
A mistake. Lieutenant.
It's an important thing. But the leader of the group of peacekeepers, because there's about 4 or 5 of them, and he says he's Captain Larac, and my assignment's none of your business.
Yeah, it's secret on a need-to-know basis, and you do not need to know.
And he says my marauder's got a fuel leak, and we're going to take this thing, and he's still not really believing them, and it is still threatening Aaron. Then Crichton turns up.
Yes, in full uniform, peacekeeper uniform,
like a red leather jacket and like leather boots. It actually looks pretty good. It's a pretty good costume.
Yeah, it looks really. He carries himself quite imposing.
And he's also putting on an accent a little bit.
Yeah, what the hell what kind of accent is that?
He's trying to do like the sort of somewhere between Australian and English kind of posh accent of like, "Come on, you will do the thing." Rather than being like, "I'm from the South," metaphors or something. Basically, he's pretending he has a stick up his butt.
I feel that is a perfect description of what he's playing. Yes.
Both in how he walks and how he talks.
He walks the walk and talks the talk.
Yeah, but he's pretending to be the captain, and so he's like tells Aaron to put your weapon down, and he sort of has a bit of a standoff with Larac. He said, "What are you doing on my ship?" And he's like, "I'm a priority Red 1 mission, so I'm assuming direct control."
I like that Crichton is like, "No." And then all the DRDs that have been
Oh, this is so good.
setting up, they just start, all of them start firing. Like several DRDs have set up and they just start whizzing. And apparently this is not something DRDs do a lot of the time, because they're kind of surprised that the DRDs are doing this. the other people.
I mean, what I took from it is like they'd not really been on board a Leviathan before. And so it's like DRD. I just love that when it panned across to like a bunch of DRDs, all with the little laser guns just like shooting at them.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I love it. And so it's like, if you want my help, you better ask nicely.
Yeah.
So, so far so good. So Crichton and Aaron take Lorak around the ship and show them the prisoners. Well, which is, they've locked up Dargo, Zan, and Rigel in their quarters, like they were previously. And Lorak wants to know what the Leviathan is doing out there, and Aaron says that, or they say that they're experimenting Leviathan mastery without the use of a control collar.
Yeah, because Moya is clearly not wearing one.
Yeah, and we just happened to recapture these prisoners. We're using neural control on the pilot, and we control the pilot, and pilot controls the ship.
Yeah, and I like that he's like, yeah, I've heard about that. But I heard every time they tried that, the ship and crew went missing. Well, this one has gone off without a hitch until you arrived.
Crichton's playing his part pretty well. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And he is pressing Lorak, saying, what are you doing? This is actually relevant if I'm going to take you where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
All we need is it's very simple, it's just one crate.
Yes, one crate. We need to deliver it to a peacekeeper base nearby. And they're like, sorry, nearby?
Oh, a peacekeeper base nearby, you say?
As in 20 Arns? As in
here?
In the uncharted territories?
Yeah, he says it's a new Gammak base.
Yeah. Top
secret, inside the uncharted territories. And again, he brings up it's need to know, but since you're going to be taking us there, I guess you need to know. That's actually more or less the line he actually says.
Yeah, that's exactly the line he uses, which I like.
This is pretty good. So, okay, there's a top secret peacekeeper base in the middle of the uncharted territories. Sure, why not?
Bad news.
Yeah, that's not good.
Here they thought they had only had to worry about Krace.
Yeah.
Turns out there's more.
Oh boy. Oh boy, is there more. Sorry, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. I know where this is going.
I don't.
Anyway.
You couldn't see Hats there, but he was laughing maniacally and rubbing his hands together.
Anyway, the peacekeepers are in the cargo bay unloading the cargo, which is it's one crate. It's not actually really a crate. It's more like it's kind of like
I'd say it's the size of a coffin.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's a bit it's rectangular and it has actually like some intricate design along the top with what looks like bits of wood in there.
Yeah, I really like the way they
it's not just a box, which is nice.
Yeah.
They
actually put some work into this one.
It could very easily have been just a grey box, like boom, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
But no. And so they're unloading the cargo, and then Chiana comes in with a tray of food and drink. And I thought it was interesting that they didn't put Chiana in a cell.
Okay, let's be honest. Do you think they could have put Chiana in a cell?
Probably not.
I mean, I'm surprised they got Dargo into a cell, but Chiana, no way. Not a chance.
I mean, I'm surprised that we didn't even see them try, because it seems like it introduces a whole bunch of other things you have to explain. But anyway, So Chiana comes into the cargo bay and says, the captain ordered me to look after you. And one of the male peacekeepers, who's called Thorn, he's like, oh, they must have paid money for you, a non... someone who's not a peacekeeper as a servant.
Mm-hmm.
And basically they flirt a little bit.
Yeah, that's something Chiana can do well.
Yeah, but she's doing it for a reason.
Of course she is.
Yeah, exactly.
Chiana.
Like Chiana basically will flirt to get something that we've seen so far. And when they were opening up what they did was they opened up the crate to have a look at to check the inside. Which sort of slides out from the top end. So he uses a hexagonal key to open it, which has like a little bit sort of bumps and lumps on.
Holes.
Yeah, to insert and twist. And so Chiana is, flirting with him.
And she accidentally, between heavy air quotes, spills some water on him.
And sort of bumps into him. And God, I love this is a little bit silly and kind of dumb, but she basically gets an impression of the key in a food cube.
Yeah, I thought she was actually just taking it.
No,
but
I
she's
mean,
smarter than that. She
yeah.
actually just takes the impression so they won't miss the key.
I'm just impressed she did it with a food cube.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen what they look like. I would expect that to break in half while you're trying to do that.
She had to press it down a little bit.
Anyway.
Around the crotch area. So.
around.
Around
there, yeah. So, Chiana's up to something. It's pretty clear what's going on here.
She wants in.
Yeah, she wants in on this. And so we cut to the mess hall thing, and the peacekeepers are all sitting around eating. And Lorak comes in with Aaron.
Yeah, Lorak's the commander of this unit.
Yes, and Lorak is played by an actor called Paul Layden, and the rest of the peacekeeper crew in this episode are kind of a bit throwaway in that we don't see them too much, but we see more of Lorak, and Paul Layden does actually a very good job as him.
I like this character.
Yeah.
Especially because as he walks into the mess hall, none of his subordinates stand up, which Aaron points out, they don't really obey rank here. She's like, what? I'm going to let them stand up just because I walk into a goddamn room?
Yeah, he actually says, I respect them too much for that.
Yeah, I like that.
They'll follow my orders without question because they're still my subordinates, but I respect them enough to not make them just stand up whenever I come into a room.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense, I feel.
Yeah. And so they're talking about the mission or who this group of peacekeepers are, and we find out that they're actually special ops. They're special ops peacekeepers.
Which apparently are nicknamed Black Ghosts by the other peacekeepers.
He says to Aaron, that was supposed to be an insult, isn't it? Because I actually think that's a pretty cool name.
I was going to say, that sounds awesome.
That's badass.
Black Ghosts.
Yeah. And then Aaron's like, no, that's supposed to be an insult. It sounds like the rest of the peacekeeper regiments and groups really don't like special ops.
Yeah, they're undisciplined. They apparently they do things their own way, and peacekeepers just don't like that.
Yeah, peacekeepers are all about following orders from high up, and special ops don't do that.
Black Ghosts apparently have a lot more leniency, a lot more free range.
And then Lorak is like, well, just think, now you're going to sit down and eat with one.
Yeah.
And so they sit down and eat together. Yep. Now we go back to Crichton, who is talking with Zan and Dargo out of character. He's...
Oh God, no. So he's now out of character, and there's also out of character for the player job? This is getting confusing.
Yeah, but he's being his usual self, talking to Zan and Dargo, because they're both getting anxious. And they think, right, well, now's our chance to take the peacekeepers by surprise. This is when we have to strike and get rid of all of them. And Crichton is like, no, we should learn what we can from them, because ignorance is also dangerous.
Yeah, because we have 20 hours until we reach that peacekeeper base, so we could easily get the information out of them, let's say in the next 10 hours.
Yeah.
And then use that and then just chuck them.
Yeah, because as John points out, there's apparently a secret base out here that they didn't know about, so there's presumably even more stuff that they don't know, and they've got the opportunity, while the other peacekeepers think that they're also peacekeepers, to try and press them for information.
Yep. And I'll admit, it's a good reason not to do anything. I
can see, he's got a good reasoning there. The only issue I have is that from everything we've seen of them so far, it's like, they're not going to tell you shit.
No.
I get what you're going for, John, but these peacekeepers are, Lorak, ain't going to tell you anything.
No, they're just going to be like, nope, don't know what you're talking about.
And it's like, you don't need to know.
Yes.
You need to know a basis. You don't need to know.
Shut up about it.
And so Dargo is very upset at being chained up and doesn't want to be chained up again.
Yeah, and doesn't even want to be locked up again.
No, because, he feels very strongly about this. It's like he doesn't want to pretend to be a prisoner. But then Zan says we should go let Rigel know what we've been talking about. And they go to find Rigel's quarters, or to find Rigel in his cell. And guess what?
He's gone.
He's escaped.
He took one of his escape. I mean, this is one of the things I was wondering about when this episode started. Like, doesn't Rigel have escape routes out of his cell?
Oh, yes, he does. And he used them and he cleared off.
Yeah, that sounds like Rigel.
Yeah.
Okay, but do we put it on the count? Damn it, Rigel.
Sure, why not? God damn it, Rigel. Wait, what are we at? I don't know.
I think that puts us at 5?
Yes, I believe you.
I don't know.
No, that's...
You're the one keeping the list.
Am I?
Okay, we need to centralize this.
This is 5, and then we'll keep a track going forward.
I'm gonna have to listen to every episode this Christmas, don't I?
Well...
Anyway.
This is also when Thorn, who's the other peacekeeper that Chiana was flirting with, comes down the corridor. At this point, John is in Dargo's cell, talking to him with no chains or restraints. And so, when Thorn comes around the corner, he's like, "Oh shit!" And Dargo just attacks John.
Yeah, just starts choking him, and Thorn walks in, hits Dargo with the butt of a rifle, and keeps him on a gunshot while they both, John and Thorn leave the cell.
Yeah, they sort of walk away, and from the other side, in Zan's cell, she reassures Dargo that he did well. And I like this line from Dargo, says, "Yeah, a little too well." That wasn't all acting when he started to throttle John.
No. Also, I like that at no point after this does it ever get questioned why the hell John was in Dargo's cell without Dargo chained up.
I expected that to be brought up, but I guess not.
I think he just intimidated his way through that one. Like, if you ever... Because when he gets out of the cell, he says to Thorn, "If you ever lay hands on me again, I will have you court-martialed." Or he says that to Dargo.
No, he says it to Thorn. He says, "Yeah, if you touch me again, I'll have you put away on charges."
Maybe that's enough for Thorn to not bring it up again.
So now we go back to Aaron and Lorak, who are still talking to each other, and now she's talking a little about her history. And we find out that she was, about her early life as a peacekeeper and already getting involved with peacekeeper duties at 14 and so on. And I think she says became a Prowler pilot at 16.
And I think Lorek asks, why do you take that long? Apparently because she already started really young with flying things.
Yeah, it's like, why did you wait? And she's like, well, I had to wait because my feet wouldn't reach the pedals. Which is pretty cute. And
I can already see young Aaron being like, I want to fly a Prowler pilot. I want to be a Prowler pilot. You can't reach the pedals, damn it.
And unlike what she says about her current assignment, that's the real deal.
Probably. I think
I think
the things she's telling are actually true.
Yeah. And then also, I don't know that I expected anything different from peacekeepers, but they get them started young, so...
Yeah. At least they're not Spartans.
That's true. Right, you're what, 5? Sounds good, here's a sword.
Yeah. We'll be training you from now on. Peacetime? Nah, don't worry about it.
And so, they get to talking a bit more, and Lorak says that the sooner they get the cargo out of here and off to that Gammak base, the happier he'll be.
Yeah, because apparently he wants rid of it.
Yeah, it's clearly been a thorn in his side for a while. He's like, you know what, let's just get this assignment over with.
No, a thorn in his side has been his crewmate.
Literally.
A thorn
literal thorn.
at his side.
Yes. Damn it! That wasn't even on purpose. What is happening?
Anyway, keep going.
So Aaron recognizes that the weapon that he has on him is a stasis gun, which is for capturing and not killing. And he says, "Are you sure it's a good idea to take this cargo to science base?" He's like, "Nope, that's exactly where it needs to go."
Yeah, I don't care as long as I'm rid of it.
Yeah, just somebody else take it off my hands, please. Yeah.
It becomes an SCP, somebody else's problem.
So, speaking of somebody else's problems, Chiana is molding the key that she got from the food cube impression. With some help from a DRD.
This is such a cute scene.
The DRD is got its laser melting, I think a steel tube or something.
Yeah.
A metal tube.
And she actually, the thing accidentally burns her a little bit. Yeah. She has watch out what you're doing. That's easy for you to say.
The interact, that little thing is really great.
Yeah, I like that.
But also Rigel has gone to check out the cargo,
Mm.
and he's inspecting the crate, and that's when Chiana turns up with the key in hand.
Yeah, and I like how she says, like, okay, we both want what's in here. Let's split it 50-50. 50-50? I found it first. Yes, but I got the key. Okay, 50-50.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I also like this. There's the bit where she kind of sneaks up on him, and Ryder's like, "Oh, how dare you sneak up on me like that? I should make you wear a bell round your neck."
Oh,
and
yeah.
Chiana's like, "Keep your fantasies to yourself, frog boy." Ryder's like, "Fantasies about you."
I see you watching. I don't really care.
Oh yeah, I like that. Like she also says, like if you want to be a pervert, you need to step up your game. You're way too obvious. Rigel, you dirty old man.
Oh God, he really is a dirty old man.
He is like a very old and very dirty frog man.
I love it. And I like that. It's like, okay, let's be honest. We're both here to steal what's in here. Steal? I don't steal. I am procure.
That's such a that's such a thief line. Of like, I had to steal. No,
I liberate.
exactly.
And I like that. It's like, okay, so Janet puts in the key, and the top moves out. And there's apparently another a lid you need to take off to find out what's there.
There are basically a few raised dials on that part that slides out, and you sort of twist them and lift that off, and then we find out what's inside.
However, before we do that, I like that he wants to. Rigel's like, okay, you open it. What? Me open it? You want not your half as well? Yes, but I'm not very handy. He just waves his puppet arms up, like showing his little stubby fingers. I'm like, yes, perfect.
Oh, it's really good. And so, yeah, they do open it up. And inside, there's actually... It's obscured at first because there's some smoke or whatever is writhing around it. And then as that gradually clears, we see this weird kind of yellowish flesh. And it turns out to be some kind of odd-looking life form that has...
Yeah.
It has like a torso. It's pretty small. It has a torso and an oddly misshapen head with no real features on it.
No, it looks vaguely insectile.
Yeah, and there's the chest actually is glowing. It's pulsing with light.
It looks very fragile as well.
Yeah, so it's some kind of weird life form.
It looks really cool, actually. Again, props to Jim Henson Company.
Yeah, literally props.
Damn it!
Yes!
That was my turn. Okay, fine.
Retire champion. But then, of course, at this point, this is when Thorn enters, and he finds the containers open because Rigel and Chiana both hear him coming, so they're like, "Quick, Scarpa!" And they hide. What I like is that they don't actually have time to get away properly. Like I was, because it can be a fairly common thing of like, oh no, someone's coming, and then it's like I guess a filmmaking trick of like, or like editing where they clearly are almost there, but then when they actually get there, everything looks normal.
Yeah, they've had time to put the lid back on, close it off, everything.
In like the 10 seconds that he comes up. But no, actually they haven't. They've only been able to go hide behind some boxes, and they haven't had time to close it up. Which I actually liked. It's like, yeah, no, these things take time. Mm-hmm. And so goes to check it out and investigate. He actually goes down to the life form and to look at it, and then it looks like it just grabs onto him.
What I actually saw is that his hand, despite him not touching it, his hand starts shaking. So my first reaction was that thing has some sort of telepathic abilities.
Yeah, but it kind of latches on to him, and he's like, "Oh!" And this is when the other Peacekeeper male enters, who I don't think we actually get a name for. He's just like
he's barely in this episode.
Yeah,
you see him like once or twice.
He's got like a flight kind of helmet on with some goggles. But
then the pilot actually.
Yeah, but he comes into the room and he's like, "Oh no, it's open!" And then Thorn just shoots him, locks the door, kills the life form that was in the crate.
Yeah.
And then he hears Chiana hiding in the back.
Rigel is buggered off at this point.
He's run away, yeah. But he grabs Chiana and... Okay, so I checked, the synopsis for this episode on Farscape, well, just to make sure I know where everything is. The line that they've written down is, he kisses her. That's not what happens.
No.
That's not what happens. He grabs Chiana, brings her up to his face, and, just extends his tongue and, rams it down her throat, basically.
Yeah, that was not a kiss.
No.
No.
That's not what that was.
No.
It's like, oh.
Apparently he gets dizzy and looks at his hand, and we see that Chiana's eyes glow very faintly green for a moment.
And oh no, it's a body hopper.
And then she just knocks him out.
Yep. So yeah, from this point it's like, okay, so we've got some kind of body hopping...
Yep, it's the body hopper episode. Turns out it's that one.
Yes. And then Lorak, Aaron, and the female peacekeeper called Hassan, they come in and they find the other dead guy who has no name because his
no name.
Only job is to get killed. And he's on the floor, and then there's the dead life form, and Lorak's like, oh shit, it's escaped. Oh no. Oh dear.
And
everything's gone wrong.
And John's in the door opening, arriving, what escaped?
He's like, you better tell me what's going on right now. And Thorn is there. He's come too, and he can't remember what happened.
Because for some reason he can't remember what happened. Huh. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, and so this is when we find out what's actually going on, what the cargo is. And so Lorak tells them that they're on fugitive recovery, and the fugitive is an intelligent virus. It's an intelligent virus, basically. And
apparently it can hop from person to person through physical contact. And it doesn't spread, it just goes from one person to the other.
It can only infect one at a time. And they isolated it when the life form in the crate was being used as a host. But if it stays in one person for about an hour, then it lays its spores, which means it can then basically spawn off a bunch more, which will infect even more people.
Which is an insane speed of reproduction.
I mean, that is pretty nuts.
Holy crap.
So yeah, if it gets out and lays its spores, then they're in a lot of trouble.
It makes me wonder how many of these things are out there.
Yeah.
Because that must be a lot.
Well, they say that if this one gets out, then it could just infect thousands of life forms in this area.
But think about it. It only needs an Arn to be in a host. It probably, before they even got onto its trail, it would have been in a host for weeks, months, years. So there's probably billions of that thing out there by now.
There are several things that crop up in sci-fi when it comes to biology that it usually gets wrong. Which is the main one is evolution, which we saw in DNA Mad Scientists. A little bit. I mean, that was one character saying a bunch of things that weren't really accurate.
Yeah, but very specifically saying that.
Yeah. The other thing is that viruses are treated just completely wildly differently to how they actually work.
There's even discussion if they are considered life or not.
They also don't lay spores.
No.
You could have just said parasite and it would have been fine.
I would have gone with parasite, aka a ghoul.
Like a ghoul kind of deal. Yeah,
that would have worked perfectly for this.
Anyway,
because then you also get over the fact that why does it not spread with each contact, and why does it has to hop?
Yeah. Well, it's just one of those kind of tropey things of viruses do not work that way. Good night.
No. I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm done. No, it's barring that, this episode works very well.
Yeah, it's a very small thing.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those common things in sci-fi that it usually gets wrong. So, yeah, they're questioning Thorn about what happened, and like we said, he doesn't know. And then notices that Lorak notices that Chiana is still hiding in the back, or that Chiana is hanging around there. And she says, well, Rigel opened the crate, and then the Peacekeeper came in, and he started firing. And then Thorn, they say to Thorn, it's like, do you remember that? It's like, no, but that sounds like it could have happened.
Have happened.
It's like, you're just going to go along with that.
And I like how a lot of people point out, like, wait, Rigel knock out Thorn and pick up a gun?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
And like, oh, the virus can make all your muscle fibers fire at once and, increase your strength. So like, okay, sure.
Fine. I won't respond to that. Fine.
No, that's an actual thing. Like, most of the time you don't use all of your muscle fiber. You can't access all of it, because if you did, you would actually break your bones and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry about that.
I'm leaving that one. I've got such a good. I'll accept it.
So Chiana says Rigel went into one of the access shafts, so it could be anywhere. And so we better go looking for him.
Yeah, because if he has an hour, then we're all in trouble.
Yep, we got to find him quick. So we as the audience know that it's in Chiana, and this is a distraction. But
very good one, actually.
Yeah, it seems like the virus can do a good job of impersonating other people. And so they're all going on a wild goose chase, basically. So once they split off, Aaron and Crichton have a sort of private chat, and Aaron's like, right, well, our chance for surprise is gone, and this plan was a disaster. So good job.
Yeah, too bad that uniform didn't fit me.
Yeah. Also, early in the episode, they do mention that the uniforms that they have, there's like a throwaway line from Dargo is like, yes, it's very fortunate that the peacekeepers left them aboard. Because, but yeah, apparently they didn't have a captain's jacket in Aaron's size.
We had the same problem with in the flags with the size of spacesuits.
This does keep happening. So yeah, they've got no element of surprise anymore, and things are going from bad to worse, basically.
Yes.
So everyone is out looking for Rigel, and Dargo has basically been completely fed up with all of this. And he's like, I'm fed up with being imprisoned.
Especially once the gunfire is detected in the cargo bay, they're like, okay, let me out.
Yeah, Dargo demands the pilot that they open up. And so they do, and Dargo and Zan actually are coming down the corridor from the opposite direction to the group of peacekeepers, and Chiana and John. And so they just open fire. They're like, right, screw you guys. Pew, 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 pew.
They start a firefight, and John's like, oh, crap.
And John's like, right. And still not dropping the act, he's like, we need the prisoners. They can help us search, and if this thing has a chance to spawn, then we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
And he sort of walks over there. I like that when he walks over to Dargo and Zan, he's kind of like does like a
I noticed that as well.
Rolling his eyes a bit, like when everyone else can't see him.
Yeah, because he walks over then and he's like, call Dargo, so's Zan.
Like,
blah, 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 need help, blah, 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 trouble, situation you're not aware of, blah, 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 blah. And then walks over to them like, look, guys, we need to work together on this because shit hit the fan.
Yeah. And so, reluctantly, Dargo lowers his weapon, and they all gather together, and Lorak says, right, we're going to search in pairs. No one goes on alone. It's like, there's no way to tell when it is in somebody, but once the virus has left, the host body will show signs of high acidity.
Yeah. But by that time, it's too late.
It's already in someone else, yeah.
And the reason they're searching in pairs is because the virus basically can leap. It tries to leap from host to host when nobody's looking to confuse people. And
they should have no contact with the high net. Don't touch Rigel or anything like that.
Yeah. Because it can only swap hosts through physical contact, which made me wonder, like, then why the hell did Thorn approach the body there? Because he knew this. He should have just stayed away. Fine.
Thorn not very smart.
No, that's
Thorn's big dumb guy.
Yeah, that's okay. Fair. That actually explains that. To be honest.
Yeah. So they split up, and Crichton and Chiana go off together, and Zan and Hassan.
Hassan is the
female peacekeeper. Yeah. And we have Aaron and Lorak and Dargo and Thorn. Pilot can't find Rigel, so he must still be in one of the access shafts. Mm-hmm. And then we go to see Hassan and Zan, and so Zan is trying to get some more information about how the virus works, and Hassan says that the host remembers nothing once the virus leaves them. Yeah, the host remembers nothing once the virus leaves them. That should have been a telltale sign that it had been in Thorn. Yeah, I don't know why that doesn't get brought up.
Because they say he was like, I can't remember. Okay, that means it's been in you.
Yeah, but it means...
Which would mean Chiana's story wouldn't make sense.
Well, no, I mean, they said that not...
Yeah, because
true.
It hopped into Rigel, shot the other guy, knocked out Thorn. No,
Yeah.
it went into Thorn. That should have been a trigger for them, being like, wait a second, it has to have been in you at least at some point.
Yeah, they don't... Yeah, for some reason they never put that together.
No, that's... the virus could have lied better there. Because as long as they'd put Thorn in between there, that would have been fine. Like, it hopped into Thorn, shot the other guy, then hopped into the Hynerian and left. That would have worked perfectly.
Yeah. And there's in this scene where Hassan and Zan are kind of searching around, Zan mentions that my people had a run-in with an intelligent virus before. Didn't go well for us, we lost a lot of people.
The whole colony apparently got wiped.
She mentions that her mother was involved in that, actually.
I think her mother had family there.
Yeah, right. Her mother had family there, so it's like, oh, okay. And just Hassan just doesn't react at all. And Zan's like, oh, well, sorry if I'm boring you. Jeez.
Yeah. This actually supports my theory that there are more of these things out there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This might have actually been originally the same organism, just spread out.
Or something similar. And so Crichton and Chiana, they're in an access shaft looking for Rigel. And Chiana is she's starting to show signs of not acting like herself, kind of like moving a little oddly.
Yeah, the problem is Chiana moves a little oddly all the time.
She kind of will duck from side to side a bit when talking, and a lot of exaggerated reactions and movements. Which is great, that's a nice touch, but yeah, it does make things hard to tell when she's acting weird.
Yep. She's licking her lips, though.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, it's good to point out.
And so Aaron and Larak are also searching, and she asks him, why didn't you just kill the virus?
Well, my orders were to retrieve it.
And to study it for use in battle, and because that's all peacekeepers ever think about.
Of course, that was the only reason. I was thinking very much Wayland Yutani, we need to capture it so we can weaponize it, despite the fact that it continues wiping out colonies and people.
No, we need to get... this doesn't end well. This never ends well.
Ugh.
And Aaron points out, that's a heavy price to pay, to lose much of your crew, just to get this thing. And he's like, yeah, well, part of the job.
It was a challenge. Excuse me?
You said you respected your crew, mate. I am not sure I believe you anymore.
No. He lost 4 crewmates, apparently, by now, to this thing.
Yeah. And so Aaron and Larak do actually find Rigel hiding. They find him hiding in, a little access shaft. And everyone sort of gathers around there. And Rigel's terrified.
Yeah, because he has no idea what's going on.
Yeah. And he's like, I can explain, I wasn't doing this, nothing was... Oh. And he's like, I'm not coming out, nobody touch me, stay away from me.
I'm staying in the closet, I don't want to come out.
I'm not in, no. Larak does actually hit him with the stasis gun, which is, puts a blue field around him and he just collapses. And both Zan and Crichton actually notice that Chiana is looking a bit nervous at this point.
I like that indeed. They're all focused on where Rigel is, because he's in one of the maintenance areas, basically behind a hole. And Chiana walks up to John, and we don't see what happens. Apparently it jumped from Chiana to John, because Chiana seems confused afterwards, and John is licking his lips.
There's a great shot of, it cuts him and he sort of pulls his sort of lips up above his teeth, just sort of making a it's hard on a podcast, but the great thing is that shot of him sort of grimacing a bit. And the DVDs, that's one of the chapter images.
Yeah,
of just him with that stupid look on his face.
But Zan actually sees Chiana looking a bit confused, and John... and she's not entirely sure, but she thinks there's something off there.
Suspicious.
But, Rigel's been captured again, so they go back into their cell.
Yeah, so Rigel's been captured, and he's going to be put back into the same containment unit they used in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But Zan says she must try and formulate something to get the virus out without killing Rigel, because they say that, what's going to happen to him, how are you going to get it out? And Lorak says, well, he's already said his dying words. So, yeah.
Because actually, they don't tell this to the quote-unquote prisoners. They only tell it to Aaron.
Aaron mentions that, yeah.
He doesn't know it now, but he's already spoken his last words. Because when they leech the virus out of him, he's not going to survive that one.
Yeah. And then, separately, Zan's like, we've got to try and formulate something to get the virus out without killing Rigel. But then Crichton, sort of virus Crichton, wants to lock them back up, And
he's like, no. What we need to do is get on that base, figure out what the hell's going on here, get the information we need, and also work for some antidote. I'll admit that we need to find some antidote. I'll go talk to the doctor with the nice lips.
Yeah, and then both Zan and Doug are like, oh, what? John?
Excuse me?
John, please.
But no, I mean, he's making good arguments because they're like, look, if we try to get, like he says, okay, let's say you do take Rigel out and you think you've cured him, and that next thing we know, we have spores everywhere, cats and dogs living together, we're all dying by the heaps.
Mass hysteria.
It's like, no, that's a good argument.
And we need to use that time to learn more about the base, and then, God, again, Thorne turns up while he's talking to both of them, or talking to Zan, and so Crichton just punches Zan back into her cell.
Yeah, like cold clocks was right into the nose. It's like, holy crap.
That wasn't necessary at all. It's like the virus is just being a dick.
Yeah, because Zan is not very imposing, so it wouldn't be weird that he was being lenient with her going back into her cell.
And so, Lorak and Hassan explain to Aaron, Rigel will die before we get the virus out of him. And, and Lorak mentions that, numerically speaking, he's actually being beaten by the virus. He's lost more crew members. And he says, Aaron, you're being wasted in your current post. I've seen you in action. You should join me, and we can.
I like having you close, baby.
Give 5.
Give him for the man. I've made it with a woman.
Good. That's getting better. Good job.
For the listeners, I've been practicing on my Sam Bradigan voice.
Nice. I like it.
No, but that was actually heart-wrenching for Aaron because it's like, again, the universe holding a carrot like, you could come back, you totally can't come back, but you can come back.
Yeah, and he's like, maybe we can, discuss this at the Gammak base, and she's just like, because
she wants to, but she knows she can't.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way this will work out.
And Claudia Black does a great job conveying that in just the kind of expressions and looking kind of wistful about it while not saying, anything like, I can't or whatever. It's like, I would, she would like to, Erin would like to, but she knows she can't.
No.
Meanwhile, oh God, this next scene, Crichton goes to Hassan, who's looking through Zan's apothecary, where she keeps all her chemicals and stuff for making potions, basically. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, this is a nice collection of things. Who uses it? And it's like, oh, nobody uses it now. We didn't clear everything out when we took over this Leviathan. Well, we took control of this Leviathan.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. Wham!
She slams her head against the table hard.
Yep.
Takes a pipe and just goes bam, bam. You're crunching noises as he does that. Yeah,
it's panned up so you don't see him actually hit her with it, but the sound is awful, just like crunch, crunch.
He's just crushing her skull with that pipe.
Yeah, so she's dead. And he grabs the stasis gun and smashes that as well.
Yep. So, well, the only doctor taken out, the only stun gun taken out. Fantastic.
Yeah, great.
Amazing. Brilliant. Crap.
And so back with Zan and Dargo, they've called Chiana over to come see him because Zan is suspicious about where the virus actually is, and says, "How are you feeling? Are you feeling dizzy?" And Chiana's like, "No, I'm not feeling." Okay, yes, I am feeling dizzy. How do
you know that?
And this is a bit odd. She's like, "Okay, Chiana, lick my bed cover."
Excuse me?
Because apparently the bed cover contains litmus fibers.
And that colors on high acidity?
Well, yeah, litmus test.
Huh. Weird.
That's an actual thing. Like the litmus test of like litmus fibers will turn different colors depending on the acidity or alkalinity of a substance that you put them in. Why these fibers are in her bed covers, I don't know.
It's a Delvian thing.
Maybe it's a weirdly coincidental thing. Anyway, Chiana licks it, and so the bed cover turns red, and she's like, "I knew it, high acidity. It was in you all along."
And it's like, but I would remember. No, you don't remember.
Yeah, host suffers memory loss. So it's not in Rigel. It was never in Rigel while they were looking for him, and so from this, I think they will figure.
Zahn concludes that it has to be in John now because that's what she saw happening.
Yep. And so we head up to command again with Aaron and Crichton and Larak. They're all there, and Crichton is increasing the speed. He's making things go faster. And
they're like, why?
Aaron kind of whispers to him, "It's like, what the hell are you doing?"
I'm doing my job. I'm pretending I'm doing exactly the thing a captain in my position would do. I propose you do your job and get the goddamn information.
Yeah, and actually, like the virus, playing as John, is doing a pretty good job. It's not giving itself away because that is actually a fair point. It's like, yeah, if you were a peacekeeper commander in this situation, you'd be like, right, we don't have time to waste. Let's get to the base.
Yeah.
And Larak's like, yes, good. Yes, go faster. Sounds good.
I like this. And then I love this conversation because Virus John then starts talking to Larak like, you must be a very good tracker to have found a virus like that. Like, well, I consider myself a good tracker. Yes, an excellent tracker, I would say. And this is really the virus talking to its hunt, basically, and being like, how the hell did you find me?
I also think it might even be goading him a little bit. It's like, you're an excellent tracker, aren't you? You're very good at tracking your prey, not knowing that it's standing right next to you.
Yeah, that's actually better. Now that you pointed out, that's probably also part of it.
But then Thorn continues his run of bursting into places, and he runs into command.
Oh, Thorn's here!
Ta-da! And says, Hassan's dead, the stasis gun is destroyed. And then Chiana, Zan, and Dargo all run in, and then Crichton just grabs a gun, and everyone gets into a big shouting match with each other.
Yeah, because everybody's guns come out, and they're like, the virus is never in Rigel, I believe it's in John. Then Virus John's like, well, the gig's up, starts punching people, taking people out, and they manage to push him to the ground and hold him there, several people, and then they're like...
all of them grab hold of him.
Crap.
And Zan's like looking at her hands like, oh no.
At that point, I actually thought the virus was in Zan.
That's what I thought, but then everyone basically goes into a standoff with each other.
Yeah, Mexican standoffs, like everybody is holding a gun to everybody.
So now they're explaining what's happened, and
yeah, because John's like, he just woke up again. He's like, what happened? What? Why? How? Where?
And then Zan calls him John, and Larak's like, hey, wait, what's up with John? Like, who are you? And Dargo's like, not now. That topic is off the table.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
We've got bigger problems, and since the virus can't re-enter anybody, so Crichton's like, okay, it's not me, and it was in Chiana, so it's not her either.
Yeah.
So, you two
Chiana, come over here.
And Dargo says Zan said she could make an antibody, and so we should go do that. And they have the standoff in command, and then
they just move it.
And then Then we cut to, I think it's in the cargo or in the hangar bay where the apothecary is, and Zan is mixing stuff up there, and they're still all pointing guns at each other. They cut between that. I just like the mental image of them walking down the corridor, all pointing guns at each other. It's like
just the exact same angle. Like
nobody move.
Anybody steps out of line, they die.
And so she manages to mix up some stuff.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like, how is Zan not a suspect?
Well, they do mention that. She's like, they're all looking at her like, okay, I'll be the first one to try it. Jeez.
How do they know that what Zan mixed up is actually what she said she mixed up, not just a salt solution or something?
Yeah.
A one solution. Because she does mention, like, well, you saw what components I put in. Yeah, but apparently you're the only one who knows what they do, so you could have easily fudged that one.
I guess so. Well, basically what she's made is a high alkaline solution. and because it sounds like this is weird. Like the virus, it's a virus, but it's an acidic life. You know what? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, the way I read it is that the virus heightens the host's acidity levels because that's apparently the environment it needs to live.
Okay, yeah, that
and
makes sense.
Zan's idea is to just dump a lot of alkaline in somebody's system.
That can't be good for you. Like,
No.
I don't think.
But
you're
if it's
supposed to...
compensated with a high acidity, that shouldn't be a problem per se, and there is a margin of error you can work with. She probably mixes it enough that it's not hostile to the host, but is hostile to the virus. I think this is actually doable.
What she says is that it's like it should work on everybody. So right, let's give it a go, and puts it into like an injector.
Mm-hmm. Which I recognize what that was.
Yeah.
So she puts it into an actual pipette, like a modern one with a dial and everything. I like that.
And then so she puts it on the back of her hand, and she's like, "Whoop!" And I'm okay.
Yeah, she puts it on her hand, inserts it. By the way, pipettes are actually not used to insert anything into anybody's bloodstream.
Whatever. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, she uses that, and she's like, "See, I'm okay." I'm like, "No, that doesn't exclude you. That just means we need to test it on everybody else, and if it doesn't do anything on everybody else, then we shoot you."
Yeah. Oh, also, this is when, because they're in the apothecary, we see Hassan's body again, and John is like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
and Chiana says, "It wasn't your fault. You didn't do it. Well, you kind of did do it, but it wasn't really you."
Like, yeah, I know.
The virus, but he still feels really bad about it, and so yeah, then we've had Zan's tested. She's fine. Then
okay.
And then like, right, who's next? And a bit more of a standoff, and then Aaron's like, "Fine, I'll do it."
Yeah, and so Aaron and
she's fine.
Okay, good.
And then test Thorn. And
yeah, Thorn's like, okay, fine. And I like every time you insert this, you can see that there is a physical discomfort to the person, which makes sense because you're shooting them full of alkaline.
Yeah, and so he puts it in Thorn, and he doesn't react, and they're like, "It's in Larak! It's in Larak! Get him! Get him! Get him!"
They start shouting at each other because it's in Larak! No, it's in Dargo! It's in Larak! No, it's in Dargo! They start shouting at each other like, pull the trigger! Show that it's you!"
And so, sort of, Crichton walks up to them, like, it's very tense, and he's like, "Okay, what's the best way to do this? Eeny, meeny, miny." It's actually a really tense scene of that, because it's like, eeny, mean, and going
he
between...
goes very slow.
And so he puts it in Dargo, and he puts it, when he tests Dargo, and then Larak just runs.
Yeah, because he puts it in Dargo, and we see Dargo's eyes roll for a moment, which also happened to Thorn. And then they're back, and it's like, okay, it's a Laran, and Ron just punches people out and starts booking it.
Yeah, and they're like, right, lock down the tiers, close all the exits, which actually works for once.
Yeah.
But then the virus, as Larak, grabs Aaron and sort of has her in a sort of headlock, and it's like, and then shoots Thorn, so Thorn's dead.
Thorn shows up, headshots him straight in the eyes. It's like,
whoa. And down.
Good shot.
And Larak says, "Okay, you're going to let me use the Marauder to escape, and I'll leave you alone."
Yeah, John and Dargo arrive after this scene. And like,
Dargo's like, "Okay, that's not going to happen."
Because they're like, "Look, you want to get as far away from that base as possible. I want to get as close to it as possible. I'll just get in the Marauder, fly that direction, and you can go be on your merry way, and we all leave happily ever after." And they're like, "No. Because it might take thousands of worlds before they can contain it again."
Yeah.
If they can contain it again.
And then, like, the virus, as Larak is like, "Oh, is that a problem?"
Yeah, I didn't think that was a problem.
And then, oh god, and then he grabs a knife out of Larak's boot, I think, or like his belt.
Because Aaron actually
knocks
the gun away.
Yeah, and he grabs a knife and it's like, and then he just stabs Aaron.
Yeah,
it's like,
I mean, stabs Aaron after pointing out that to Aaron that Larak was actually into her.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, he did like you quite a lot.
Stab. I like that, going from one to the other.
Yeah, and so Crichton goes after him, and Dargo is frantically calling for Zan. It's like, I need you down here right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is bad.
They sent Chiana to the hangar bay, and John is there, wants to stay with Aaron first, but Dargo points out, look, it's already been in you. You're immune. Go after it.
And so Lorak manages to get to the Marauder and get inside.
But not before he fights Chiana.
Yeah, because Chiana surprises him from behind.
Yeah,
Sort of
jumps on his
him.
back, tries to choke his neck out. It'll just...
He throws
Chiana's
her
not
off.
that strong anyway, and...
Well, the virus increases the host's
That too.
strength, so he just like throws her off and gets into the Marauder. And Chiana, I think, is like, close the outer doors. And then Crichton's like, wait, Pilot, is the Marauder still leaking cesium fuel? It's like,
Yes.
yes. Okay, let him go.
It's like, sorry, what? Okay.
And
Pilot, prepare for starburst. Like,
what?
Moya's pregnant.
It's
She
like-
can't.
Yeah, we're in no condition for starburst. It's like, it's okay, I just need you to start one up. We don't need to finish the jump. And I need you to move and be nose to tail 180 degrees from where you are. And Now.
I like how he's commanding in this one.
Yeah.
Like, he's actually being the captain for once.
This is actually a great sequence because the Marauder takes off and it leaves a big trail of cesium fuel from Moya, and so basically what John is doing is positioning Moya so that the tail end where Starburst initiates from is right in the middle of that trail.
Yeah.
They start Starburst, ignites the fuel leak, and just
it sparks and it just follows it up to the Marauder, and the Marauder
explodes.
just goes boom. And we see one shot of Lorak just looking, his eyes slightly glowing red, terrified, and then it's just boom.
And not only does it actually go boom, we come back to John and he's just like boom.
I missed that. Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so yeah, they got them. Got him.
I need to point this out. That must have been very high oxygen fuel.
It's rocket fuel, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
Does that burn in the vacuum?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, fine.
And so, okay, everything is fine. Everything's sorted out. All the peacekeepers are dead, but that.
Which is also convenient, so we don't have to bring these actors back next week.
And so Zan is now tending to Rigel, who they've got out of the stasis pod thing, whatever.
Which actually apparently is hot. This one is meant to keep something hot.
Warm, yeah. And he's like, there aren't enough cold towels in the world to make me feel better.
Yeah.
He's being, being a terrible patient. And Dargo though, Dargo is not happy. He's like, He's actually holding his chains that they were hanging him up with, and he's like, right, I'm never going to let that happen to me again, and I'm going to destroy these chains. I will not be locked up again.
And Zan's like, I admire your faith. Let's hope that is how it goes.
And she's like, I pray. She says, I pray that that's how it will go, or I pray that it never happens again. And he's like, pray all you want. I stated a fact. It's not happening again.
No.
He's taking this very, very seriously. Like, he's not going to get locked up again. He does not ever want to be in chains once more. Even if it's for like a distraction or a ruse or something.
I do like that Dargo's actually mad at Rigel for opening that thing up and getting everybody in trouble like that.
Yeah, it's like, you kind of started this.
And I like that Zan's like, oh, let's hope he's learned his lesson. No, he hasn't. Like a few weeks ago, he tried to blow everybody up.
Yeah, Rigel doesn't learn lessons.
No. Chuck him out of the airlock. And while you're at it, throw Chiana after him.
They're both kind of a bit of trouble, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we go to see Crichton, who is sort of sitting on the table off from where Erin is, who's lying down, wrapped up in she's covered up in a sheet, and she's just coming to, and he's saying, the virus and Lorak are dead, and you're lucky that
you missed your heart.
He missed your heart, and then she says, it was closer than you think.
Yeah.
It's like, oh
yeah.
Oh nope. Nope.
The fact that he gave, again, she got something that she can't. Well, she got something offered she can never have.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought, like, also there was something I read into everything else that would be going on between her and Larakas. Not only can she not go back, she wants to go back to, that offer of going back to being peacekeeper and doing all that stuff. It's like, she can't take that. Also, she's being basically hit on by Larak, but she's also kind of, in a relationship with Crichton.
Yeah, that's becoming a thing she wants to explore, clearly.
Yeah, and so...
Which is, again, here, clear, because he's like... What did he say?
He says, she says thank you to him, and he's like, don't mention it. And he's like, why would I?
Why would I ever mention it?
Yeah. So, they're getting together, maybe, maybe
not.
Maybe develop some feelings for each other, maybe.
Actually, a minor detail in this scene. Did you notice what John was holding during this?
What was he holding? He
was holding a pipe. I think that's the same pipe that was used to kill the female peacekeeper. It's a minor detail because he's still holding that in his hand, but it's clear he's still not over that part.
Yeah, he was very unhappy with doing that, basically in cold blood. Yeah.
Yeah. Which was a minor detail, but I like that he could have just been sitting there watching over her, but he's also holding that thing, which speaks to what he's going through as well.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah, and Aaron is also asking, about the Gammak base, and he's like, we're getting away from it as fast as we can, but we still don't know why it's there.
Yeah, or how many more there might be.
And so, and the last bit in this scene is when they say, thanks for standing there and don't mention it, and why would I ever mention it, and end credits.
Yes.
So there we go, that was episode 80, that was A Bug's Life. What do we think?
Good. I think it's a good episode.
Yeah, definitely.
It didn't develop any of the character arcs heavily.
Not heavily. There was a bit of... I like Dargo's development of like, right, okay, I'm putting my foot down and never being chained up again, even if it's for a trick or whatever.
But that's mostly solidifying what was already there.
Okay,
that's
just
as it was solidifying the relationship between Aaron and John. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't mind.
No,
Sometimes
that's good.
you just want a quote-unquote filler episode. Like, it doesn't advance anything, but it's
doesn't it, though?
Good episode. Actually, fair point.
We know that there's a base.
Yeah, the Peacekeepers are in the Uncharted territory, so that does actually add something important.
That's a big setup. Like, so we know that they're there for some unknown reason, and that's set up as it's quite... So, in the previous episode, in A Human Reaction, we had something that we're like, I don't know, is this ever going to get brought up again? Who knows? Maybe not. From the episode. In this episode, it's like, right, there's a peacekeeper base in the middle of nowhere. That's going to come up again. Like, that's got to come up again.
Has to.
Spoilers, it does come up again.
I can't wait because I have no idea what this means.
Oh, I'll be honest. Like I said, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I know what's coming next week, and next week's going to be good.
Yeah, because is that when we meet? Who I think we meet?
We'll find out. Find out. We'll find out next time. But this episode. So back to this episode. It's like, again, it didn't feel like there was a lot. There wasn't. It felt very lean. There wasn't a lot of filler or anything. Nope. And once the action starts in the second half, it really starts, ramping up. And you've got the whole standoff and all that stuff. And it's actually done pretty well. And
I like it. There's a few minor parts in the writing where I'm like, why didn't... I mean, like the fact that the virus stayed with John for the whole time, then decides to swap the moment they're not alone anymore.
Yeah, it's weird.
And also, it could have, at that point, like John says at that point, the yarn is almost over. If I'm in the virus, it would have just taken a left turn, hid for the last 5 minutes, and been like, haha, got you. There's minor things in the story that I'm like, you need to have dumb behavior by your characters to keep the plot advancing, which is kind of iffy for your storytelling.
Yeah, and the fact they never put together that because Thorn can't remember anything, it was in him, so that makes... Yeah, there's a couple of inconsistencies in, like, not being on the ball, really, not being...
No, those are minor things, but they do count, I feel.
Yeah, then, you can't just ignore all of that stuff. But overall, it was a very solid episode, and I do like that, like, this is, again, the kind of episode with that kind of plot could be very self-contained, and for the most part it is, except for the fact that it sets up the Gammak base in the Uncharted territories, which that's what we will see more of later on, which makes that pretty relevant stuff. So if we want to give it a 4, I would give it a 4 out of 5, I think.
Yeah, that's what I want to do as well. Minor things, but on the whole, it's a good episode. Nothing stellar, nothing bad.
Very solid.
That's what it needs to do.
Very solid, yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go, and yeah, all right. So another good one, and like we said, we're almost we've got 4 more episodes to go before the end of this series. So we're almost done with season 1, and so far there's only been 1 bad episode. I would say only 1 real.
Yeah. Jeremiah Crichton.
And everything else has been from good to really good. So that's a strong first season so far.
Like I've said before, I'm surprised how good it's been.
But yeah, that was this episode. Next week, episode 19 is called Nerve, and people who know what's coming up next, oh, this is going to be good. Let me see.
Are we doing the synopsis?
Let me just see. Let me see. Okay, there's the first line of the synopsis doesn't give anything away. An injury Erin sustained in a bug's life, so her getting stabbed threatens to kill her, like she's in bad shape. So Crichton and Chiana travel to the nearby Peacekeeper base to get a tissue transplant, and that's all I'll tell you.
Okay.
So we go to see the base like pretty much straight away.
Huh? Nice. Okay. This sounds interesting. I can't wait.
Yeah, that'll be same time, same place next week for Farscape Rewatch. And that's it from us this week. And we hope you enjoyed the episode. And like I said, we'll be back. And in the meantime, you can find us both on Twitter. I'm at Can't Wear Hats, Red's at Vidalkin in Tree. There's the Can't Wear Hats YouTube for archives and old Twitch streams and other projects. YouTube.com/Can'tWearHats. Also Twitch for my live streams. And all of that content is supported by the Can't Wear Hats Patreon, which is patreon.com/Can'tWearHats. And so all of this is brought to you, by your generous support. So
yes, thank you very much for letting us do this.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun, and we're kind of wrapping up the first season, and this has been a lot of fun, and I'm glad that people have been enjoying it, and we hope to make many, many more and get through the whole lot of it.
Yeah, we're doing the whole series. We're in it for the long haul, people.
Oh, and is it ever the long haul?
Yes.
We've probably got about
like a year?
A year of this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Roughly. We are just probably a bit over, because there's 88 episodes total, and I think that's not counting Peacekeeper Wars. And there are 22 in the first season.
And we've still got more than a year to go.
So
that's
just
at least
slightly
66.
Over. Yeah, so we hope you'll stick with us for the rest of this. And yeah, so we'll see you next week. And but that's it from us this week. Goodbye for now. Bye. Goodbye.
Mr. Hats, I'm here to take control of the podcast.
Excuse me, what do you need to do that for? And who are you?
That's on a need-to-know basis, sir. I'm sorry. Please hand the podcast over to me.
Wait a minute. Old Man Red!
And I wouldn't have gotten away with it if it weren't for this cheap wig.